This 75 pull reroll guide will ensure that you get the character that you want and can dominate the early game. Okay, so you can't just quickly log in as a guest, reroll, and log out if you don't like it. You need a proper account link from the start.
Exactly. That's a common way games make rerolling easy, and it's just not here.
Okay, so if you can't use guest accounts, how are players managing, like, multiple attempts? The notes mention a workaround, something called the SALT method for Gmail.
Yeah, this is actually pretty clever. So if you have a Gmail address, let's say it's, I don't know, player@gmail.com, you can create variations.
Variations how?
By adding a plus sign and then like a number or word before the inviter. So player+1@gmail.com, player+Etheria@gmail.com, player+reroll25@gmail.com. You get the idea. The game will see each of those as a unique email address for signing up. But the clever part is Google ignores everything after the plus sign. So all the verification emails, everything, still just goes straight to your original player@gmail.com inbox.
Oh, wow. So you can manage potentially dozens of game accounts, but only need the one actual email address to track confirmations. That is neat.
It is. But, and this is important, the source is very specific.
Yeah.
This trick only works with Gmail.
Right. Noted. Only Gmail. No luck if you're using something else.
Correct. And the notes also mention if you want to get really efficient, like running multiple rerolls simultaneously, people recommend specific emulators, LD Player on PC or BlueStacks if you're on Mac or Linux. Seems those handle multi-instance well.
Okay, so definitely some hoops to jump through compared to games with easy guest logins. Given that extra effort, is it actually worth it? The source seems pretty clear on its stance.
It does, yeah. Despite needing these workarounds, the notes flat out say rerolling in Etheria is definitely worth it.
And it's not like an all-day affair for just one attempt.
No, that seems to be the key. The time from starting a new account to getting your pulls and seeing if it's a keep or delete. It's apparently around 15 to 20 minutes per try.
Okay, 15, 20 minutes. That's not too bad. And what's the big prize for that time investment? Why are people doing this?
The main draw is starting the game with extra SSR characters, the high-rarity ones, right from the get-go. The note suggests that with the number of pulls you get quickly, you're quite likely to walk away with not just one extra SSR, but maybe two or even more to kickstart your account.
Ah, so it's about stacking your starting lineup, giving yourself a significant early advantage.
Pretty much, yeah. Shapes your whole early game.
All right, let's get into the practical side. If someone listening decides, okay, I'm going to give this a shot, what are the actual steps involved in one of those 15, 20-minute runs, according to these notes?
Okay, so step one, you got to play through the prologue. And the notes really emphasize using the skip button top right corner whenever it pops up for story bits or videos. Speed is key.
Skip everything you can. Got it. But you do have to do the fights in the prologue manually, right? I think it said auto battle and speed up are locked.
That's right, yeah. Those early fights, you have to play them yourself. And there's actually a specific tip for the character Gray they give you early on.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Use his S2 skill first. Always. It buffs your team, sure, but crucially, it gives Gray himself another turn immediately. So you use S2, get another turn, then immediately uses S3 for the area damage, and maybe that defense down debuff helps clear those mandatory fights just that little bit quicker.
Nice little optimization there. Okay, prologue done, skipped everything possible, use the Gray trick. What's next?
Right after the prologue finishes, the game forces you into a single summon pull. Just one.
And is it random?
Nope, this one's fixed. You will always get the character Leon. The notes say she's important because she basically takes over from Sybil, your actual starter, and becomes your main damage dealer, your carry, for the early stuff.
Okay, so Leon joins the team automatically, then where do you go?
Next objective is push through the main story until you finish Chapter 1. That completion milestone is what unlocks the mail system in the game.
Ah, the mailbox, where all the goodies are waiting.
Exactly. Can't get your pre-registration gifts or code rewards without it. But there's one more forced action before you get free reign. After you clear stage 1 to 3, specifically, the game makes you do a 10 pull on the standard banner.
Okay, so a forced single pull gets you Lion, then clear up to 1-3, do a forced 10 pull. What happens after that? Does the tutorial finally let go?
Yes. Once that 10 pull is done, the hand-holding stops. That's your moment. You immediately dive into the mail, claim everything that's piled up, progress rewards, achievement rewards, any pre-reg stuff, and, importantly, redeem any active promo codes for even more summon tickets or currency.
Okay, so you've done the prologue, gotten land, cleared Chapter 1, done the forced pulls, claimed everything from the mail, punched in the codes.
Yeah.
After all that, how many pulls are we actually talking about here for one reroll attempt? What do the notes figure?
So adding it all up, the forced pulls, the tickets from codes, gems from codes converted to tickets, chest rewards in Chapter 1, pre-reg bonuses, login stuff, achievements, even killing the first boss, Jacques apparently gives one. The source calculates, it comes out to around 75 pulls, roughly, all for the main RGB banner.
75 pulls
Yeah.
in like 20 minutes of gameplay?
Yeah.
Is that a lot in Etheria's system?
The notes describe it as quite a lot, yeah. Apparently it's getting you close to the hard pity count on that standard banner.
Hard pity, meaning the point where the game guarantees you an SSR if you've been unlucky.
Exactly. So being close to that with 75 pulls means, statistically, you are very likely to get at least 2 SSR characters, maybe more, just from that initial burst. That's the whole point of the exercise, really, getting that strong initial roster.
Right, makes sense. We've got the how, the why, the effort versus reward.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the payoff. Who are you actually hoping to see pop up in those 75 pulls? The notes definitely point towards some top-tier targets.
They do. It covers who to aim for from those polls and also touches on the Selector Banner you might get access to. But there's some really specific advice about that Selector Banner first.
Oh, what's the advice? Don't use it right away.
Precisely. The strong recommendation is not to pull on the Selector Banner during the reroll process itself. Maybe even wait a day or two after you've decided, okay, this is the account I'm keeping.
Why wait? Seems counterintuitive. Wouldn't you want that guaranteed top character locked in ASAP?
It sounds it, but the logic is pretty solid. You're going to be doing a lot more pulls in the first few days of actually playing the notes. Estimate maybe 200, 300 pulls just from normal progression and early rewards.
Okay.
So if you use your selector immediately to pick, say, character X, there's a decent chance you'll then pull a duplicate of that same character X from the hundreds of standard banner pulls you do right after. And the notes specifically say duplicates in this game aren't that important. Getting a new character is almost always better.
Ah, I see. So waiting on the selector minimizes the risk of wasting your guaranteed pick on someone you might have gotten randomly anyway just a day later. You maximize your unique character count. Smart.
Exactly. So back to the pulls themselves, who are the big prizes. The notes highlight the best light-dark options as prime targets.
Light and dark, usually powerful. Who are they?
The 2 main ones recommended are Lily and Heinrich.
Okay, let's take Lily first. What's her deal? Why is she so sought after?
Lily's described as like a universal support. Good everywhere. She gives a speed buff to the whole party, which is always good, lets you take more turns. But her really unique thing is this buff called Twin Trick.
Twin Trick, what does that do?
She puts it on one ally, and that ally gets a boost to their turn meter. They get a crit damage buff, and this is the cool part. They'll do an assist attack whenever Lily herself uses her basic attack.
Oh, so they attack when she attacks.
Yeah. The notes even mention specific characters like Rosa who focus on basic attacks really benefit from this, getting lots of extra hits in. Plus, being light element, she just fits into any team without disadvantage. Super versatile.
Okay, yeah, that sounds really strong. Universal support, extra attacks. Nice. What about the other one, Heinrich?
Heinrich is positioned as more of a DPS, but also a top-tier debuffer. The notes call him maybe the best dispeller in the game, removing buffs from enemies. On top of that, he applies Wound, which stops healing, and Block, which stops enemies getting buffed. Really nasty stuff for bosses.
Dispels, anti-healing, anti-buff.
And didn't the note say he has a unique debuff, too?
Yes, he has this unique effect where enemies he debuffs take increased damage when they get critically hit, and it also increases their chance to be critically hit in the first place.
Whoa, so he makes creds happen more often and makes them hurt more. That's a double whammy.
It really is. The summary basically says he's fantastic, works everywhere, shuts down tricky boss mechanics, especially later on, and having him might mean you don't need to build as many specialized characters for different fights because he covers so many bases.
Gotcha. Lily for the support and extra actions. Heinrich for crippling enemies and enabling damage. Makes sense they're top targets. I did see a quick note about Mio as well.
Ah, yes. Just a heads up in the notes, basically. Currently, Mio is not recommended as a reroll target. There seems to be some issue or maybe a misunderstanding about how her S3 skill works. It's apparently not performing as people expected. The source says it's being looked into, so for now, probably best to avoid aiming for her specifically.
Okay, so pulling it all together. Rerolling in Etheria, it's definitely a thing. You have to navigate around the lack of guest accounts, maybe use that Gmail salt trick if you're on Gmail. You follow a pretty specific path through the early game prologue, Chapter 1, grabbing mail and codes.
Right, and the payoff for that, 15, 20 minutes of effort per attempt is substantial, about 75 pulls right out of the gate.
which, as you said, is often enough to land you potentially 2 or more SSRs, hopefully top-tier ones like Lily or Heinrich, giving you a really solid foundation to start the game properly.
Exactly. It really shows this kind of meta layer to starting these games, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The strategy begins before you even really start playing the main content. It's all about optimizing that very first step.
It really is. And that actually brings up maybe a bigger thought. When you see players figuring out these really specific workarounds, like the salt method, needing certain emulators just to restart faster, what does that tell you about how people approach these games now? It's not just about being good in the game anymore, is it? There's this whole layer of system mastery, efficiency, and finding any edge you can right from minute zero. Makes you wonder where that drive for optimization really comes from.